Hello, and welcome to Creating Linus Online School of Jewelry. I'm Nicole Baxter, founder and head teacher. Our first project, the basic flower earring, is, well, very basic. I chose to start with this project because I wanted to illustrate just how effective simple jewelry design can be. Even a beginner can design and execute original, beautifully well-made jewelry with very few tools and a small materials budget. Project 1, the basic flower earring, will be taught in 4 parts. Part 1, sawing out the flower. Part 2, introduction to the ammonia patina. Part 3, the ear wire and the assignment. Lastly, Part 4, the support tutorials. I have produced the first project, the basic flower earring, as an example of the program to give potential students an idea of how it will work and the quality of the teaching. As a way of raising the funds to produce the first year of classes, I have launched a Kickstarter project. But I'll talk more about that later. Let's get started. The basic flower earring is composed of 2 parts, a sterling silver ear wire and a copper flower which has been finished with an ammonia patina. In this tutorial, you'll learn how to saw out and emery the copper flower. As this is a project tutorial, I will not stop to explain tools or techniques, although I may offer a few pointers, tips, and tricks. To learn more about tools or techniques used in this project tutorial, please view Part 4, the support tutorials. We will need 2 identical copper flowers. Start with a glued billet of 2 pieces of 20 gauge copper sheet. How big should the pieces of copper be? Well, that depends. I could choose to be conservative with my materials and use a 25 by 25 millimeter piece, but that would leave me very little to hold on to while cutting. Since I'm working with copper, I'm going to be a little bit wasteful and work with a much bigger piece than I need, 45 by 45 millimeters. Plus, this way my fingers won't be in the way of your view. But you'll need to decide for yourself. I would recommend going with a bigger piece to start with and working your way towards smaller ones once you have some experience. Center punch and drill a 1.5 millimeter hole in the center of the flower. Be sure to deburr the back side. This will allow for free movement on the V-board. Burrs are rough and like to snag on the board, making it more difficult to cut a smooth line. Don't forget a little wax on the blade. This will lubricate the blade and make for an easier and smoother cut. This flower takes me about 9 minutes to saw out. As a beginner, it will take you longer. Move through the metal at a nice, slow, steady pace. The goal here is accuracy, not speed. If you choose to make more than 1 pair of earrings, and I do recommend you do, your sawing skills will improve with repetition. Right now, your sawing skills are in training. The more you saw, the better your sawing skills will become. Pivots are one of the hardest cuts to master. This project will give you lots of practice. But first, separate your flower billet so you can emery 1 flower at a time. Using a pivot to cut a point will never end in a point. This is because a pivot is a tiny circle. As wonky as this flower looks, it is fixable with emery. I would recommend using a bit of emery with your jeweler's saw and an emery pad, both at 220 grit. A little bit of patience and a little bit of elbow grease will get the job done quite nicely. Much better. I love emerying. As long as you saw on the correct side of the line, emerying can make any bad cut look good. Alternatively, you could. Chunking out your flower will give it nice crisp points. This time, I'm going to use only 1 layer of copper, as it's much easier. If you find you have difficulty sawing out your flower as a billet, No! You might want to try sawing a single layer of copper. this might work better for you. Remember, as long as you're on the correct side of the cut line, files and emery can fix any bad cut. Before you start cutting, you'll need to draw some lines to follow. Remember, slow and steady wins the race. The better you're sawing now, the less emering there will be later. Don't forget, use the V-board to stabilize your sawing. You don't want to end up nicking or cross-cutting. Next, chunk it out. Again, don't forget to use the V-board to stabilize your sawing. It's really easy to cross-cut. I'm cutting right into the V-board as well as the copper. This will slow down the cut and minimize your chance of overcutting. You'll still have to do some emering, but you should be able to achieve some nice, tight points. But this time I'm going to use a loose piece of emery with no tape on the backside. Why? The tape reinforces the emery so it won't shred as quickly, but it makes it thicker, which can make it difficult to get in an emery tight points and an emery pad. As you can see, the points are a little bit tighter when chunking as compared to pivoting. Now that your flower is sawn out and emeried, it's time to add the patina.